What's up, vaqueros? Welcome back to another Modern Warfare 3 video, and today's a special one because I'm delving back into the perks and all that good stuff. If you remember back in Modern Warfare 2019, even a little bit in Cold War, I didn't just cover shotguns. In fact, I touched a couple perks, like weapon perks and other guns, and with Modern Warfare 3, I kind of want to try doing that again. And today's video, we're focusing on the coveted Covert Sneakers. This is essentially dead silence as a perk, where you can rock it and bam, your footsteps are gone. So today's video is an analysis, a deep dive into these sneakers. We're going to see, does it actually eliminate your footstep sounds, or is it just your own? Can you hear other people with bone conduction that have covert sneakers on? Does it stack with dead silence? All these kind of questions I'm looking to kind of give you guys an answer and an analysis of. So if that sounds good to you, go ahead and stick around because we're just going to dive right into it with Covert Sneakers. So taking a look at the description for Covert Sneakers, it says that it eliminates footstep sounds. Now first, I want to share with you guys a clip of how it sounds when you yourself are rocking this perk and how your own footsteps, or lack thereof, sound in-game. As you can probably tell, there is basically no noise. You are as quiet as a ghost, and this is a godsend. This is so nice to see because now you don't have to be worried about your own footstep sounds. You can kind of run around the map and kind of pay attention to the little sound details in other areas rather than your own damn footsteps, so that's really cool. Now what I want to do is share with you guys some basic audio tests for Covert Sneakers and the base footstep audio. So what you'll see me doing is standing on my back against the wall, and I'll basically have my dummy account walk towards me with the base footstep audio, and then I'll do it again running, and then I will share immediately after how it sounds with Covert Sneakers on, walking towards me from 30 meters away, and then running full sprint towards me with Covert Sneakers on. So let's take a listen. So as you can probably tell, it might be a little hard to pick it up, but I did kind of boost the audio just a slight bit so you guys can hear it. Covert Sneakers does not 100% reduce your operator's sounds. You do make some noise when you are rocking Covert Sneakers. You still make some noise. But basically, yeah, it does eliminate most of your footstep sounds. For all I can tell, there's no footstep sounds going on. Really, what you hear is sort of your operator noises, like there's some breathing you can kind of hear. You can hear some rustling of your gun and your gear. When you're jumping around, you can hear some more movement, so it's a little bit louder. But for all intents and purposes, even though it's not 100% reducing your operator's sounds, it basically eliminates most, and I would say it's basically 97 or so percent effective. That's a pretty arbitrary number, but it's not 100% reducing your operator's noise, but it is basically making it to where in a real practical environment, you're pretty much impossible to hear. Yes, you do make some noise, like I said, but in a practical sense, you're probably not going to hear someone sneaking up on you with Covert Sneakers on because there's some rustling, there's some noise going on, but it's really hard to pick up. So now to give you another example, I'm going to show you guys what I call the monkey test, where I'm just basically in front of my dummy account, and the dummy account is jumping around, jumping like crazy, making as much noise as possible, and then I'm going to do that same test with Covert Sneakers on. So let's get a better idea of how it sounds with Covert Sneakers. So just like with the last test, yes, you can still hear the operator jumping around. Like I said before though, it's really hard to pick up in a practical sense, but yes, it is there. So again, it's not 100% reducing your noise, but footstep noise is pretty much gone. It's just your gun and your gear and all this stuff that you have on your operator, and even breathing. You can hear the operator breathing, which is really funny. You can still hear that stuff. Maybe if you crank your headsets up and it's a very quiet environment, you might be able to pick up on someone flanking you, but in most cases, you're not going to hear someone sneaking up on you when Covert Sneakers is equipped. So now we got sort of that baseline out of the way. What I want to talk about now is dead silence. As you know, dead silence is also available in the game as a field upgrade rather than a perk or a set of boots. And basically it temporarily makes your footsteps silent and applies ghost, gun, melee, and throwing knife kills refresh duration. So it's basically like it was in Modern Warfare 2019. This is great to see. I like how you have this addition in addition to having the Covert Sneakers. Now what I wanted to do in the next test is to see, does dead silence, when you activate it and you have Covert Sneakers on, does it actually completely eliminate your footsteps? Does it provide some sort of stacking benefit to where you can't hear anything at all? Rather, not footsteps, but operator noises. So let's check it out and see what it sounds like. And as you can probably tell from that example, you saw the dummy account activate dead silence, and to my ears, I heard virtually no difference. So it seems like dead silence does not in fact stack with Covert Sneakers. You don't automatically become just 100% ghost, nothing, you can hear nothing at all. Nope, you can still hear no footsteps, but you still hear the operator rustling around and jumping and breathing and panting and all that stuff. So no, it does not seem like dead silence does in fact stack with Covert Sneakers. Of course, dead silence does have other uses just besides making your footsteps silent, but we're just going to be talking about footsteps in this particular video. Next up, we're going to talk about the one potential counter to Covert Sneakers, which is the Bone Conduction headset. It says in the description it reduces combat noise, allowing improved identification of enemy footsteps and gunshots. So does this actually hard counter Covert Sneakers or dead silence? Well, let's go ahead and check it out. I'm going to show you guys a little clip I had where I'm basically having my dummy account jump around with Covert Sneakers on, and then you'll see the same dummy account doing the same things, but I'll have the Bone Conduction headset on, and let's take a listen and see how it sounds. So now to kind of analyze what just happened, it seems to me like Bone Conduction, the Bone Conduction headset, doesn't directly impact the noise of the footsteps of Covert Sneakers, but rather it reduces other noise like ambient noise and all this other stuff so that you can hear the rustling of the operator just a tiny bit more. It doesn't really seem like it's any louder from what I can tell. Maybe it's just my ears, maybe I'm not picking up on it, but to me, it does seem like Bone Conduction makes the operator noises more loud, but when I went in the video editing software and kind of saw where the peaks were in terms of the audio for Bone Conduction on and off, they were very similar. It was really hard to find any real big differences, occasional outliers, but they were all pretty similar. So honestly, to me, it just seems like since everything else is so quiet, it's going to make picking up people with operator sounds a lot more easy compared to if you didn't have Bone Conduction on, since a lot of that background noise is reduced. It's not like it's going to be incredibly easy to pick out because, again, in most situations, it's not going to be this dead quiet, but it will probably save you in some situations because, like I said, it's going to make those sounds just a little bit more audible, and people who have fine-tuned their headsets will probably be able to pick up on you running around and sprinting and mantling and all that stuff. So in a sense, yes, bone conduction is kind of useful against people rocking covert sneakers. I would definitely try running it and see if it helps. It might primarily help people playing games like Search and Destroy, where you might be just waiting to disarm a bomb or someone's camping by a bomb site. All you hear is the bomb ticking. You might be able to hear some people rustling around, but it basically takes covert sneakers being from what, I don't know, 97% effective with footstep audio and all that noise to like 95%. It's really not going to make it to where you can hear it that much more, but it might help in some situations. Now, what I want to do is share a bit of details about some specific things that I want to bring up regarding covert sneakers. First of all, what about teammate footsteps? Does it make it to where you can't hear footsteps from your teammates or hear their operators at all? So let's take a listen to how a teammate sounds in the base audio and then with covert sneakers on. So as you can tell from that demonstration, you can still hear your teammates. They still make rustling and stuff. You can't hear their footsteps just like enemies, but you do hear their operator rustling around. It doesn't seem as loud as enemy footsteps. I think they've made it to where the enemy footsteps has a slight difference to their sort of pitch or something, which is good, and that's going to help make them more discernible. But yeah, you can still hear your teammates rustling around, but it's no big deal. I just figured I would point it out just so you guys have an idea of how it sounds like. Next up, I want to talk about mantling, because mantling is kind of this weird thing when you have covert sneakers on, and mantling seems to be kind of loud even when you have covert sneakers on. So let me share with you guys an example of mantling while covert sneakers is equipped. So as you can kind of tell, it's a little inconsistent, but sometimes when you mantle, you can hear someone's footsteps for at least a good second or so of them just running around on whatever they just mantled on. The mantling itself is also somewhat loud, but it's more that you can hear their footsteps for just a slight bit after they mantle. So mantling itself is kind of loud even if you have covert sneakers on. So with that in mind, if someone is mantling around you, it's probably going to be the easiest thing to pick up on. If you had to choose one thing to listen for, if you're on a ledge somewhere camping or whatever in quarry, you might be able to hear people mantling and trying to flank you if they have covert sneakers on. I don't know if this is a bug, if it's intentional or what, but the fact that you can hear footsteps for a slight bit after you mantle is kind of weird. It's not a huge deal. It's a very specific situation, but just keep that in mind. In case you have covert sneakers or you think you're going to drop on someone and you're jumping around all these rocks or whatever ledges that you think they're on, they might be able to hear you, especially if they have bone conduction and they can actually hear a little bit less of the ambient noise of the map. So that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about with covert sneakers for you guys. So let me kind of summarize it up for you. Covert sneakers basically eliminates all of your footstep audio for enemies, but you can still hear them rustling around with their gear and they're jumping around and they're breathing, but it is very, very effective, and in all intents and purposes, you're not going to hear someone sneaking up on you in most scenarios if they're rocking covert sneakers because of all the noise going on besides just their rustling and their operator noises. Bone conduction does make it a little bit more discernible, and you can slightly hear a little bit better simply because it reduces all the outside or background noise of the map and all the gear and explosions. It does reduce that noise, so you might be able to pick up on people using covert sneakers more, but it doesn't seem to directly affect your footstep sound. Dead silence also does not seem to stack with covert sneakers, so if you put it on, you're not going to be a super soldier ghost man and be 100% quiet no matter what. No, it's about the same as if you just had covert sneakers on, so it's really not worth stacking. And also, last thing, keep in mind, mantling for some reason is a little bit loud. So even if you have covert sneakers on and you mantle near someone, they might be able to hear you pretty well, because mantling, like I said, you can still hear footsteps even if you have covert sneakers on after you mantle for like a second or so. So keep that in mind. But overall, covert sneakers is a godsend of a perk, and I absolutely rock this on all of my classes. It basically makes you so hard to hear that even the sweatiest of players are going to have a hard time picking up on you. Yeah, there's some situations where you might make some noise just just from your rustling and mantling where, yeah, they might be able to pick up on you, but in 95, 97% of your engagements, this is going to make a difference. Covert Sneakers is going to make your life so much easier if you're an aggressive player. So I wholeheartedly recommend this perk. It is a godsend for me that likes to play aggressively and rush people. This is something you guys got to try out. So with all that being said, guys, I want to know down below in the comments, what do you think of this guide? It's something different that I don't normally do, but do you like it? Did you learn something new from it? What shotgun are you excited to see from me cover next? And with all that being said, guys, I will see you in the next video.